all for standing around. Wow, it is really bright. My name is Croushorn. I oversee product for FreshAi, and really excited to share with you today a little bit about what we are doing to bring AI into the drive-thru at Wendy's. So I'll say from the very beginning, I am a product person. I obsess over how are we helping the customer? How do we drive new products and innovation? But through this process, have come to really fall in love with the data science team, with the data engineering team. And I think it's this really sweet spot between product and data, being able to ask questions, and then the work that you all do. Honestly, sometimes it feels like magic of the insights that we're able to see. I'm going to share a little bit about that today. So where are we going? I want to show you a little bit about the real-world AI performance gaps, what we're seeing with the data, as well as what we're seeing in production versus in testing, and helping us determine what matters, what metrics matter most. The human behavior as a data source. This is one of the most fascinating things in this journey with FreshAi, has been what we're learning about customer behavior and insights into the drive-thru and just in retail in general that we've never been able to understand before. Quantifying friction, understanding the data that helps us understand those pain points when a customer is trying to order their food, or they're trying to use your web platform or whatever project you're working on, understanding that friction as a point of information. And then lastly, how do we use those insights to drive business decisions that actually matter at a human level? So, FreshAi is not just a case in retail or fast food, but it's a study in building AI platforms that have real customer impact and ROI. 80% of our business goes through a drive-thru, and so there is so much potential here for us to drive impact and real customer experience. Show of hands, how many of you have used a FreshAi drive-thru? Okay, a few of you. So we started, this is before ChatGPT, we started about 3 years ago in partnership with Google Cloud. Shout out to any of you that are in the room today. But we asked what now seems to be a simple question, but at the time, this is before all of the AI hype, can you take an order with generative AI in the drive-thru? And so we partnered with Google Cloud, and we've built one of the first enterprise-level customer-facing platforms that is now serving 95% of our customers in our AI locations in both English and in Spanish. I like to joke, we have more grandmothers using our platform really than any other large enterprise customer-facing platform. Pretty proud of that. To date, we've served over 15 million customers. We're in 30 states. Currently, we're at about 350 sites, and we're set to be at about 600 by the end of this year. We take about 150,000 orders every day, and FreshAi is handling 95% of those orders in the drive-thru. It is a whole lot of data that we're handling every single day. People tend to have this thought, and I know that we did when we first started out, it's a drive-thru. It can't be that complex. However, the thing that we've learned in this journey is that there are no two orders that are the same. Every order is unique. And in fact, just as an example, the Dave's Double, one of our main sandwiches, there's over 200 billion ways to order in English. Can you remove that green thing? I want that with pickles. Can I get it with a side of Diet Coke? There's an infinite number of ways. It's something like 67 trillion ways in English to order our menu. And you need to be able to pull up an order with no issues, exactly as you want it. Orders change mid-sentence. Customers get confused. We tend to think of drive-thrus as, oh, it's not that big of a deal. However, they're really stressful and high-pressure situations. You're a mom, you have kids in the back seat, you pull up, you're running late, I need to get food, there's 3 cars behind you, somebody pulls up, what can I take your order? They have pressures on them because it's fast food. They need to get you through as fast as they can. And then you add on to that the pressures if you are autistic, or you have hearing problems, or you have a stutter. It's a really challenging environment for an AI platform to operate in. And yet, FreshAi is handling 95% of those orders. So, to start with some of the things that we are looking at to understand how do we build a really great experience for our customers. And I'll tell you, it's been fascinating. It's been sort of this process of, it feels like building the ship as we're sailing it. Some of the things that we're seeing is just how small little pieces of data or small little insights can have a really big impact. For example, the 4-second delay. So when a customer pulls up, they pull up to the drive-thru or to the speaker, they roll down their window. It takes about 4 seconds for that entire process to take place. Originally, as soon as you pulled up, the agent would go, "Welcome to Wendy's, what can I get you?" And the customer often wouldn't hear because they hadn't gone through that process yet. We've obsessed, I've probably spent over 1,000 hours over the past year just observing, obsessing over what is happening, what are those friction points. This is one of them. Some of the other really interesting things that we're seeing in the transcripts is the way that customers order. I don't know who you are, but the way that you're ordering gives me a lot of context on how we can have our agent serve customers better. One example of this is if a customer pulls up and orders one of our famous biggie bags, and they say, "I would like a chicken biggie bag." That word chicken, there's about a 60% chance that that customer knows our menu, is familiar with it. If they just say, "I would like a biggie bag," that's another indicator because of the absence of that word. Those little indicators are things that we can use to say, maybe I should offer you a new product, or maybe I should help you become more familiar with our menu because this might be your first or second time coming through. Then there's things like the voice, the vocabulary, the tone. There's all of these little dials and things that we are now starting to be able to research and understand. The goal of all of this is how can we serve customers and remove that pressure, remove that stress, but also help our crews so that they are not stressed. And when you pull up to the window, here's your order, and they have a smile on their face. One of the things that I feel very passionately about is there's some things, and I'll show here in a minute, there's some things that AI and technology can do extremely well. And there's other things that it can't do as well or we shouldn't even touch. One of those is just the human connection. You know, when the crew member hands you those fries and there's a smile and there's a connection. Or, you know, they're in the dining room, "Can I get you a refill?" Those are connection points that agent would never be able to do. However, and we'll see here later, there's things like accessibility or multi-language support that no human at scale would ever possibly be able to impact. And all of this boils down to small little changes have major impacts. So for example, the marketing team came not too long ago and they said, "We want to push, would you like to try a Frosty?" That little phrase, "would you like to try a Frosty?" is about 6 seconds or 5 or 6 syllables. Over the course of a day, that has nearly 50 minutes of impact in the drive-thru. And if you've ever been to a drive-thru and you go to pull up, but there's a really long line, your first thought is probably, "I don't want to go there. I'll go to the restaurant down the street because it's going to be quicker." And so understanding the impact per syllable or the impact per word and how that stacks up at scale can help us make decisions of, is it worth it to push this? Or is it worth it to have shorter lines? And you can have that balance out. And AI allows us to do this at scale in a way that was never before possible. Some of the other sources of data that we're looking at, especially as a product leader, is what are our customers saying? So one of the really big sources for me has been, what are they saying on Reddit? What are they saying on TikTok? And this is fascinating because customers will actually film their experience going through, and then there's comments saying, "Oh, that was great, that wasn't great." How do we understand what is working and what is not working? and knowing our product and what we offer so well that we can say, hey, I know that today FreshAi is better than it was yesterday, and tomorrow it's going to be even better. So customers are telling us of their own experience, constantly in the field talking to crew members. And we're not just listening to intent, but we're trying to understand what are those pain points. Because again, as we remove friction, it makes it better for the customers. There's a better chance they're going to come back. One of the things, as I've traveled around, as I've talked to a lot of you, even over this conference, there's this big question of every business is trying to face or tackle with, what do we do with AI? How does AI fit? Whether you're a small company or you're a big company, the world is changing really, really, really fast. Sometimes it's scary, and sometimes, even for myself, it can be very overwhelming. Something I've learned in this process, though, and I feel very strongly about, is the fundamentals and the foundation. It never changes. So, for us, people are always going to want fresh food. They're always going to want a great customer experience. They want their food quick, and they want it consistent, no matter which location they go to. It doesn't matter which version of ChatGPT or Gemini rolls out, if there's robotics or high-speed internet, that's a fundamental that never changes. If I'm Delta Airlines, people want to travel and get from point A to point B. They want to do it for a great price, and they want to do it quickly. They want to make sure their bags are there on time. The technology changes, but those core fundamental values and principles and the value that you deliver, that's timeless. So then the question becomes, what can technology do to unlock new ways to serve guests? How can we build and deliver on those objectives in ways that were just never before possible? The question isn't whether our fundamentals matter, but how we can use emerging tools to execute them better than ever before. This is not AI for AI's sake. One of the things that I love about FreshAi is every time we've built on Google Gemini, every time there's a Google Gemini update, FreshAi is getting better. There's not an existential crisis of, is this going to be replaced? It's just getting better. And it's because we know our fundamental thing that we're doing and serving, and we found this niche way that AI can deliver business impact. So we started out with this journey of, can we take an order? And if you can imagine, it was a small little crew with a screen and a microphone and duct tape. It was pretty scraggly. And we're praying, can I take an order? And to date, over the past 2 years, we're now handling 150,000 orders every day. But then that begs the question, okay, what's next? I firmly believe that in the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to see AI in almost every drive-thru. Already my grandmother, I was talking to her the other day, and she has started using ChatGPT. It's funny, when she first started using it, it was Gemini was still called Bart, so she calls it Bard. And she's like, oh, I went and talked to Bart, and he told me how to translate my crocheting pattern to my knitting pattern. If my grandmother is using this, we've come full circle from where we were a year ago. It's just become more and more integrated into our life and our society and the things and the ways that we do. So the question again goes, all right, everybody has it. What is it that makes us different? How do we deliver on those core principles in a way that nobody else can? I believe that for us, there's 2 main ways. Number 1 is accessibility. And I view this as, how do we make the road wider so that more guests can order in our drive-thru? This can look like multilingual support. Right now we offer Spanish and English, and we are working on Canadian French and soon other languages. Those are customers that maybe if you went to a restaurant in rural Ohio, you could never order in Spanish. Or if you did, maybe you only knew a couple of words, and so you would order the basics, but you couldn't really get that Frosty and the side of fries and remove the pickle in the way that you wanted. Maybe it looks like atypical needs. Customers, and I'll show you an example here, customers that have a stutter or who have Parkinson's. What is their experience like when they go through a traditional drive-thru, and how can we serve that? One of the things I'm really curious about, is what about sign language in the drive-thru? These are ways that we can help customers pull up an order in ways that is never before possible before this technology. And second, a customer experience that is new. What about if we could have a consistent brand experience? So if you go to Wendy's in Italy, or if you go to Wendy's in Miami, it's still the same great experience, personalized for you. Friendliness, brand partnerships. What if you could go through and your favorite characters are there on the screen? And lastly, Easter eggs and hidden content. This is one of my favorite pieces. So today, if you have ever tried, or if you've seen on YouTube, there's a video where the character goes, I'd like 55 burgers, 55 fries, and it goes through the list. I think it might be a Netflix show. Anyways, we tested it out. We're just like, what can we do with this? And so if you go through a FreshAi drive-thru and you say it just like it does on the show, the FreshAi will go, I think it'll be $685. Just kidding, can I get you a Frosty? That's a really simple but fun way that we can make it a really fun experience and help guide our customers through quickly. That was never possible before. We're focused on delivering those core fundamental values in new and experiential ways, and those have the opportunity, and we're seeing they drive real business results. We can increase the brand loyalty in sales by expanding the number of customers and the types of customers that can come through. And lastly, removing the friction that causes a customer to go, I don't want to go there. That was stressful. I'll go to the other restaurant. And having those exclusive experiences, like we just partnered with Netflix, that's really fun. I can't wait to go back. So I want to walk through two of the ways of what this looks like for our team. And I hope for all of you, we're applying this in the drive-thru, but I think this applies to every brand. This applies to every product. It applies to every level of an organization. What is that customer experience? And so for us, I'm a big Disney Parks Imagineering nerd. Shout out, if any of you know any Imagineering, send me a message, or Imagineers, send me a message, because I'd love to have a conversation with them. But the question for us, all right, so every drive-thru has AI in the future. What does that mean for us? What if going through the drive-thru was a whole experience in and of itself? What if it was personalized based on the choices that you made? What if it fostered a sense of community? One of the things that I love, I was at a restaurant 2 or 3 days ago, and there's this elderly couple, and every Thursday, they're in their 80s, every Thursday they go to a Wendy's and they get a Frosty, and it's their date night. And as I was just talking to them, it reminded me, that's why we do what we do. Yes, hamburgers are great. I love a Frosty, but that experience, that connection, that community, those memories, this work enables those to happen. It creates a space for that to happen. And how can we allow more of those to happen with what we have in the drive-thru? So one of the things that our team has done is we've literally spent time at Disney World watching their line queues. Lines are something that are stressful. I want to hurry up and get to the thing that I'm waiting for. But they found a way to gamify it and turn it into an entire experience. What if people and customers said, I want to go to a Wendy's drive-thru the same way that they say I want to go to Disney World? We're not quite there yet, but I think that future can happen. And lastly, accessibility. This is an example I'm really proud of. So one day I was, I was looking on TikTok and I came across now a good friend. His name's Travis, and Travis is a speech tech and accessibility coach, and he also stutters. And he posted this video of what his experience is like going through a normal human drive-thru. Travis shared that the first time he went to a drive-thru was when he was 19 years old. Before that, he was too scared, he was too nervous, it was scary and overwhelming. He did not return to a drive-thru for 2 years because it was such a bad experience, one similar to this.
I have a
You didn't have a pay?
no a mobile for Travis.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Will you please pause for the second window so I can take your order, sir?
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. I have a mobile, for Travis.
So you can see there, the crew member, they tried their best. They really wanted to be helpful, but in trying to be helpful, they actually made his experience a lot worse. They're interrupting, they're trying to project what they think he's saying, and it just turns into not a great and really a sad experience. And so for FreshAI, we said, what would happen if we could help the agent understand and make that situation a lot better? So we recently had Travis out. We spent a couple of hours in the drive-thru just taking orders, understanding what's working, what's not, having the team listen in and say, oh, we need to fix that. Let's focus on this. And this is some of the results.
Hi, what can I do for you?
Hi, I have a spicy chicken sandwich, please?
Would you like to make that a combo?
Yes, please.
Which drink?
Just a water.
Feel free to take your time. I'm here whenever you're ready.
Can I do a water, please?
Yep. Can I get you anything else today?
Some barbecue sauce.
Are you? What else can I get you?
That's it.
So you can see there she didn't interrupt. She's not trying to fix what he's trying to say. He's just able to order. One of the other things, pieces of feedback that we learned, is that he said, I can just rattle off everything that I need to say. I can say, I want this, 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 this. I don't need to pause in between, which just makes that ordering process easier. This is just one example. We're still very early, even in this, there's a lot of ways that we can say, oh, we can improve it here, we can improve it here. But these are the things that I find incredibly exciting, because when we spent those 2 hours, we rolled out updates, and it's now making it easier for about 10,000 people a day to order in a drive-thru. So a little bit of work has a big impact at scale with these platforms. So what does this mean for you? As you are building your platforms, as you are looking over the data, as you are trying to understand what does AI look like in 2025, 2026, and beyond. First, build for humans, not just use cases. There's such a push right now to use AI for AI's sake. Make sure you fully understand your customer base. Go through, for us, it looks like just going through the drive-thru over and over and over. I joke, I feel like I need a degree in drive-thru science because I spend so much time just understanding what are those pain points? Where is that friction? Another example, I was at, if you've ever used the kiosk at the airport, I counted yesterday at one of the markets in the Atlanta airport, it took me about 15 different touch points to order my Coke, because it kept saying, would you like to add this? Do you want to add this? Do you want a bag? No bag. There's so much friction there that really, Amazon has just walk out technology, and yet here I am having to touch 15 different times. Obsessing over those things, using the product yourself, where is that friction? Part of that can be from the data that you see. So one of the metrics that we would never have considered before is the number of sorries in the drive-thru. So when something goes wrong, the agent will usually say sorry, and it's usually an indicator that there's friction, or the agent didn't understand, or the customer didn't understand. And so we said, whoa, that's a metric that's actually really important because it tells us where there's friction. And so over the past 6 months to a year, we've been working on how do we reduce the number of sorries in a drive-thru. And I'm proud to say we've reduced it by about 60% over the past few months. Those are metrics that we never had insights into before, but now because of this technology, we do. And then when we have those updates, we can roll it out at scale, because FreshAI is better today than it was yesterday, and it's just always improving. Number 2, the fundamentals never change, even as technology evolves rapidly. The political climate, technology, new models, etc. It is moving at hyper speed. I struggle to stay on top of it all. But those things that make you uniquely you, the data that you have, the insights, the relationship with your customers, those core things that provide value, that's what makes you unique and different. How do you use technology as it continues to evolve to serve them better? Feedback is not a bonus, it's your signal layer. Again, this goes back to obsessing over how our customers, and maybe the customer looks like senior leadership at your company. Maybe it looks like the B2B, you're working with that business. Maybe they're your client, but obsessing over what are the touch points with our product and what are the areas of friction that we can make it better, and not just better, but an entire experience similar to what you saw here. And lastly, I think one of the things I'm very, very passionate about is in this age of AI and LLMs, never stop being curious. One of the things that I've started doing is when I'm driving down the road, I will put ChatGPT on talking voice mode. And I'll say, ChatGPT, teach me something new. I have 5 minutes. What's something novel and new? And you literally have Einstein in your pocket. And that ability to just learn rapidly and be incredibly curious. One example of this, we were out at the MIT Museum out in Boston. And they had this program that they had been working on using text to be able to determine Parkinson's disease and brain health by the way that by the way that a user typed. By going and just exploring that, got me curious. Oh man, we have 150,000 speech-to-text orders every day. What are the insights that we can see based on that data? The iPhone and the keypad. I was just reading a book, and it was talking about how, before iPhone, that idea of a touch screen, especially in the way that iPhone iterated on it, had never really been thought of before in that way. But they took typography and art and design and nerdy, more science, computers, things that were on two separate fields. And when they merged them together, that's how we ended up with the iPhone touchboard and keypad that we have now. It's these two completely unrelated things, and as they merge together, that's where innovation happens. And the only way to discover that is just to be incredibly curious and incredibly hungry, because you have, again, Einstein in your pocket. So for those of you that are curious, we have lots of AI locations in Atlanta. Here are 4. Would love for you to check it out. I am on LinkedIn, and so would absolutely love for you to add me. Would love to hear how your experience goes, what works, what doesn't work. Give us that feedback, because that helps us make it better a little bit every single day. I'm really excited. I hope this was just a little glimpse. There's a lot to be afraid of in the world with AI and technology, and there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of questions. And those are real, and we have to face those. However, there's also unprecedented opportunity, an opportunity to do some really good things, to serve customers, to serve guests, to serve those around us in ways that were just never before possible. People like Travis. Thank you.